So how well do you know your camera? I've come up with 5 challenges that you can do at home to try and improve your knowledge of your camera, which will definitely improve your photography. Morning everybody, fantastic to see you all again. I got some clippers and my son did it, number 5 all over. I'm not sure if it was a good idea. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go through 5 things, hopefully in 5 minutes, might take a little bit longer, that you can do at home to understand your camera and your lenses a little bit better, which I think is really important because this really should be an extension of you, because what you don't want is your camera getting in the way when you're going out and you're trying to find a composition and the light's amazing and you're fiddling about with your camera thinking, how do I do this, or what ISO shall I put it on? Okay, the first one is hand holding your camera. And what shutter speed can you hand hold your camera at? You can try this in your garden, you can try it in your house. It's super easy to do. You've just got to hand hold your camera and then try and do it at different focal lengths and different shutter speeds. So start at maybe 24mm on this 24-70 and then just go through and change the ISO and then just create different shutter speeds. So maybe start at 1/10 of a second or maybe even 1/5 of a second and then go up. And then look at all the shots, maybe take 3 at each one so you can sort of average them out. Look at all the images and then see which one you're happy with. And then maybe go out when it's windy outside and try the same in the garden. It's really easy to do. And then you've got an idea then when you're next out, if you're happy at shooting at maybe 1/30th of a second in the wind at 24mm. And it means that you then don't have to use your tripod all the time, which helps for when you're trying to compose something and you want to be a little bit more creative and you want to change things a little bit quicker. So definitely try that. Okay, the second one is focus, and this is the thing that I get asked the most. And it's super easy really, and one thing that you can do straight away, if you're a landscape photographer like me, then what you want to know is you want to know how much will be in focus in the foreground when you focus on a particular part of the image. So doing the simplest way of doing it is focus on infinity. So I do that a lot. So just look out of your window or go into your garden, focus on something that's a long way away. Just set your camera up at 24mm. You can try it at different focal lengths later, but just set it up at 24mm and then make sure you have something in the foreground that you can measure the distance to and you can also check focus of. So it might be some flags in your garden, it might be something in your home, you could even put a ruler down if you wanted to. And then when you shoot at different apertures, so shoot at f/22, f/16, f/11, f/8, etc., all the way down to f/4. And then you can see how much you get in focus in the foreground. Another way that you can do this when you're in the field is using photo pills. So go and download photo pills and go and understand the classic depth of field part of photo pills. You can put in your camera, you can put in your lens, you can say where you want to focus and it'll tell you what the nearest point of focus is going to be for that aperture. So there's 2 things there you can do for focus and it'll really improve your photography. Okay, I need to be quick now. On to the third one, which is ISO performance. So here you can see I've been taking some pictures of Pebbles. She was super sleepy after a walk. So I just got down low, it's f1.8, I've got quite a fast shutter speed. I started at ISO 100 and all I did was increase the ISO. And you can see that at ISO 100, 400, it looks fantastic. At ISO 1000, I'm starting to get a little bit of noise and the dynamic range is still okay, but it's getting a little bit of noise. You can see in the background in the blurred elements here and then also in the shadows, but it's hardly noticeable. I'm starting to get that a little bit more at ISO 1600 and at ISO 3200, it's starting to get more noticeable. And I'm also getting a lack of dynamic range as well. And this is going to be different for every camera, so you need to understand it for your camera, that's what's most important. But at ISO 10,000, then I've got a real lack of dynamic range and I'm getting a lot of noise. So I really don't want to use that, but I'm probably okay to use ISO 3200 and ISO 1600 will be fine and I shouldn't even worry about ISO 1000. So then when I'm out and I'm having to use maybe a faster ISO, then that's fine. I don't worry about it because I understand how it's going to impact my images, which is most important. Okay, the next thing is customizing your buttons. So understanding your camera from the settings and how you can set up your camera. Now, every camera is different, so I can't show you exactly how I set up my Nikon. Well, I can, but it probably won't relate to everybody. But there's a few things that I can talk about that I think everybody will set up on their camera. So everyone's got function buttons like these buttons down here. And what you want to do is you want to program those for things that you want to get to most often. So I'll just go through a few things that I program into my function buttons. The first one is I program a function button to be able to change bracketing so that I can easily, when I'm looking through my thing, just put bracketing on. I'll set it to take 3 shots by a 2/3 of a stop each time and then 5 shots. I've also got another one for a self timer so I can quickly switch on the self timer without going into the menus. I can do that super easy so that if I've got it on a tripod I can do it really quickly. And then I've got my record button set to zoom 100% so that when I'm looking through and I'm taking a shot handheld, I can press play, look at the image and then zoom in and check focus really quickly. And that's really, really helpful. And that's just the record button that's not used. I use it as an extra function button. Now there'll be lots of function buttons on your camera. You've just got to work them out and work out how you're going to program them. But do it for the things that you use the most. Oh, another thing that I do on my camera, which is really good, is that the lenses have got like a ring on them. This ring here that turns. And what I do is I program that to my exposure compensation. I think it's default to aperture, but I program it into exposure compensation because I usually shoot in aperture priority. So I can use that to just quickly change effectively the exposure compensation, which changes the shutter speed in the camera. Okay, on to the fifth one. I'm miles over 5 minutes. Sorry about this. And I've also got to announce the winners of the #2020ND competition. And I'll do that at the end. Okay, on to the fifth one, and that's just finding your sharpest lens and the sharpest aperture for that lens. So I recently got this, which is a 14 to 30mm lens, and what I did is I just shot at all the different focal lengths at different apertures, and I just looked at the edges and just worked out what I felt was the best aperture for the best focal length on this. Now there's lots of tables that tell you, but I like to do it myself. I like to understand my lenses myself and get an idea of how good or bad they are at particular focal lengths and particular apertures. Super easy to do. You can just go out, choose a subject and just shoot it. It doesn't have to be out of your home. Okay, I hope that's helped. Before I go on to announcing the winner of the #2020ND competition that we had on Instagram, I just wanted to share some work of fellow photographers, fellow professional photographers. I announced on Twitter and Instagram that I wanted to share their work. I feel that, you know, as an industry, we've been massively hit as landscape photographers and all sorts of photographers by obviously COVID-19. Now, obviously the biggest tragedy with COVID-19 are the loss of lives and, you know, the impact it's had on so many people from a medical perspective. But I feel that as a community of photographers, it's important for me to shout out, because I've got a platform to do that, my fellow pro photographers as well. So I asked people to fill in this form. I got so many responses, so I'm going to be sharing some on Instagram and some on YouTube. And there's 3 that I wanted to share today, and I'm going to try and do them at the end of each video. So the first one is a guy called Neil Mansfield from Wales. He's a landscape and a commercial photographer, and he said that his work's just completely dried up. Obviously, anybody who's got a workshop can't do anything. He does some commercial work for Brecon Beacons National Park. Obviously, he's not being commissioned to do any of that at the moment. And his photography is amazing. And there's a link to his website. So go and give him some love. There's lots of things on his site that you can buy. So anything that you can do to help him out would be massively helpful, and it's the same for all the photographers that I share. So here's another amazing photographer. He's a street photographer from Brazil called Fabiola, hope I pronounced that right, and his work is just incredible. A black and white photographer that's doing some amazing street photography, but he gets commissioned by magazines and art galleries. Nobody's going to the art galleries, and the magazines aren't commissioning him to do any of this because he can't actually get out and do any of the street photography that he does all over the world, and it has a massive impact. His photos are incredible. Go and take a look at his work. And the final person is a guy called Casper from Denmark, who's a nature and wildlife photographer, and he has got his own hide that he rents out, but he's had to cancel all the bookings for that, which is just no good at all, is it? all his workshops he's had to cancel, and he's just not got any income, which is the same for so many people that I know. I'm really lucky. I've still got income coming in from YouTube, and my course is online. I've got a big following. I'm super, super lucky, but so many photographers aren't lucky, and this is when they need your support the most. So please go and take a look at their websites and give them some support. I'll be linking loads more on Instagram as well, so go and take a look at my Instagram account. Okay, talking about Instagram, let's get to the competition. Now, this is another amazing competition, and I had over 500 entries this week, which was just incredible. And so here's the ones that I shortlisted. I can't show all 500, obviously. These were amazing, and the theme was colour, so just trying to sort of express colour in your landscape, and there's a lot of really nice toned images. They were just really amazing. So thanks ever so much anybody that entered. There can only be one winner, and that is Thomas, who's based from Italy, and of this shot of this tree. And I just absolutely love the colour tones in this. This grey and brown just tone so nicely together. The sky is absolutely beautiful, and it just shows just how simplicity makes such a big difference in landscape photography, in any type of photography, and how just such a simple image can be so powerful. And I just love how he's toned everything together in this. So well done, Thomas. Amazing work. It was really difficult to choose a winner. So the competition for next week, the subject for next week is water. So anything that's got water on it. So you don't have to be near the sea. It could be a waterfall, it could be a lake, anything, but it's got to have water in it. That's the theme, and I'll judge it in the 5 in 5 next week, which will probably be next Wednesday, but it might not be. Sometimes I publish it on Tuesday, sometimes on Thursday. If you want to know when it's published, click the bell icon below. Okay, I hope that's helpful. If you've got any other top tips for how to get to know your camera better, then post them in the comments below. Until Sunday, bye.